YouTube, good morning. Welcome back to another live session. It's another beautiful day to be in the markets once again. It's the 1st of November, right? So it's a brand new month. For me, a lot of the same things that I have been doing, I want to continue to do that. And of course, look to improve in the areas where I need to be improving. So, a new month, same me, right? New month, same me, just looking to be better. Uh, it kind of reminds me of the New Year's and how people approach the New Year's. But anyhow, Darnell, what's going on? AJ, what's up? What's up? Welcome back. So today's watch list is not looking too bad. It could be better, but there's certain stocks that I like for continuation, and others that I feel like that are up but pulled back a good amount. So here we go. ABVC, ARTL, BKKT, which is continuation, Bttx, and OCGN, which is also continuation. So there's the watch list. We'll go through one by one. Hopefully everybody did have a good weekend. For those of us here in the States, it was Halloween. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed the well, not longer weekend, but hopefully you guys did enjoy the weekend. Especially for those of you who might have younger ones, right, who do the trick-or-treating and that kind of a thing. But here we are, back and ready to go. So, Jesus Christ. Let me close this window back here. I know the mic is not going to be picking up that noise too much, but for me, Jesus Christ. This guy chooses to come out with his leaf blower as soon as I start to stream. LMD, what's up? What's up? So let's jump into the watch list, right? Let's do alphabetical order. So ABVC is going to be the first stock on watch. ABVC. Let me pull up the level 2 as well, so we get a good look at everything. So ABVC, we're up 223%, and it's at 823. We had a high of $26, so you can only imagine how much higher it was up. So we pulled back, right? We had a pretty big red candle. We came back down. Let's see. We came from a low of 307, so that was definitely an impressive move. And right now we're selling off, going sideways. Now for a stock that goes from $3 to $26 pre-market, this is early, between 4 and 5 a.m. We still at least want to see, can we hold 50% of the move? That would be $13. Right? I mean, even that is a little bit of I would say a little too much. Can we at least hold $15, $16, $17, right? 17 wouldn't have been bad, but we're down here at 8, and so it doesn't look super good. There might be opportunities there. So despite this big 225% gap, I don't know in terms of expectations what to really think that this one can do, right? Usually when we have a nice move up, I look at the daily chart. Hey, okay, we had X amount of a move. Where's resistance? How far can we go to fill some gap, fill those pockets, and continue pushing? Is it a blue sky setup where we can break over all previous candles, right? All previous resistance, and we're in a territory now where the buyers can dictate where they want to stop buying the stock, right? So this one, because it's sold off, I can look back at the pre-market chart and say, hey, can we get back above the VWAP, which would be at 940 or so? Then can we get back above this pivot, which would be around 1340, maybe 1485? But because it pulled back so much, you're just not sure which resistance area it's going to go to and then stop going, right? We might get rejected at the VWAP and sell off for the rest of the day. So it's a little disappointing to see it down this much, right? We are coming out of a hot week, right? We had a really interesting week where things were going crazy. So to see this kind of a momentum to start this new week into November is a little, it's a little sideways, right? We want to see these stocks holding higher gaps. So if we look at the daily chart, we'll see that we had a big candle back here in May. So that's interesting. But light volume though, so not too sure about that. And besides that, we did have some some history here, but as you can see, once again, volume has been super light. So this would have been a really nice one to trade over the highs if it continued going, but we're back down. So moving on in the list, right now it's currently 9:20 a.m. For those of you now tuning in on YouTube, be sure to hit that thumbs up button as we are getting started. So here we go, on to the next stock of the day. That'll be ARTL. So ARTL is going to be the cheapest one out of the bunch. We're going to be at $1.22. We have a gap of 71%, which is pretty good. 31 million shares of volume. Shares outstanding here, according to E-Trade, is at 24 million. Shares outstanding is going to be, the float is always going to be less than the shares outstanding. So we know the float is not going to be in a bad range. If we do take a quick look at the daily chart, we are above the 200 EMA, which was around 105. And we're curling up into some key levels. I want to see this one over 132 and then over 145. I think we'll have some nice room, let's say to 180, then maybe break of 2. So ARTL doesn't look too bad on the daily chart. It is implying that we could see a nice move up there to $2. So we'll see what happens with this one. Pre-market charts, let's see. So we came up, we had a pullback, a nice move, and a more elongated pullback, right? A much longer pullback here, kind of came down below the VWAP, and now it's finding some good volume. So, you know, I would say as long as we can continue to consolidate above the VWAP for now, we eventually want to see that high of day push, which is the pre-market high push, right? 133. Can we get over that level, see 145, and then start to build setups towards that level of 2? So ARTL not looking bad. ARTL, we'll see what this one does. There is news, by the way. This one also has news. If we have time towards the end, I'll check on some of the headlines. But for now, moving on to the next stock, which is BKKT. BKKT is continuation. Steve, what's up? Noah, what's going on? Wiggins, Freedom Trader, what's up, my guy? What's up? What's up? I see you. Mr. Anderson, what's going on? Good morning. Hopefully everybody's feeling pretty good today. Here we go again, right? Another beautiful day in the markets, the 1st of November. So BKKT, I think we'll start with the daily chart right here. This one, as we know, last week, I believe it was Friday or maybe Thursday. I can't quite remember, but we had this one give a big move, right, on the 25th. And then we saw some continuation there Friday. So today for BKKT, I left out a little early Friday, so I didn't get to see this one go over $30. But it looked like it did a pretty good move, right? The bull flag on the daily chart held well. We did get some decent volume. Today, can we get over 42.88 and continue going? We're currently holding up at 40, which it doesn't look bad, to be honest, if we look at the charting here. The only thing is that this one is at $40. You know, usually we're trading a stock at $4, right? 4 to 10, maybe 15. So being that we're at $40, the risk is going to be a little different. I do want to trade this one if it starts to move well over 42. So for me, I think adjusting my share size to mitigate the risk is going to be one of the key steps. And other than that, as usual, looking forward to those clean A quality setups so that I know that my likelihood of those winning trades are much higher, right? So smaller size for the price range and same A quality setup. So BKKT, I look forward to seeing what this one wants to do here today. Today feels like a good day. Now I do want to be careful about being aggressive or anything like that, right? It's all going to be all off of the market sentiment. So there's no new news once again for BKKT, but just continuation. So we'll see how the volume looks at the open. Last but not least, we have OCGN for continuation. OCGN, we're only up 7%, but if we look at the daily chart, we'll see that over the last 2 to 3 days, we've been seeing some green candles, and we're now coming back up to this high of 1323 that we had on the 26th. So I believe this was in that afternoon where I was trading this one, and it went up a little bit. But anyhow, can we get over 1326? Is it going to be a double top, or can we break over that level? If we do, we want to zoom out the daily chart. start looking at 1380, and then let's see, break of 14 as usual, right? Can we get over 14? Over 14, there's room to 1620. So OCGN could be in an interesting area, but we do want to consider that the and watch out for the volume on the 26th was a really high volume candle. We did sell off hard. So right now I would say it's probably likely that we do see a double top. But in the chance that we do, let's say the 20-30% chance that we do break over, then I want to watch this one seriously for possible trade. So 1323, can we get over that level with strong buyers for a move to the upside? That's OCGN. So there's the watch list. For the game plan, right? Unlike last week we had these same big gaps, but almost all the stocks were holding up super well. Today we're seeing a lot of the stocks kind of selling off and that kind of a thing for the fresh gappers. So I want to take that note right there. That's the first sign that today might not be as strong as some of the days that we were seeing last week. So just off of that alone, I want to proceed with some caution, right? Friday was the only day out of last week that only had, I think, one stock above 50%. It ended up being a red day, right? And coming in, I knew that it was going to be slow. So today we have more gappers up higher than that. So it might be a little bit of a 50-50 as to how the follow through comes in and that kind of a thing. So I want to proceed with caution, take it slow, no trades within the first 3 minutes. Want to wait patiently for that direction. Once I see a stock that's obviously strong, that's when I really want to start getting aggressive for a quick couple of trades, get myself in the green. And once those stocks start to slow down, I want to slow down as well, whether it's reducing my size, less trades, that kind of a thing, so that I can start green, get higher in the green, and then try and close at the highs, right? So that's the game plan here for me. It's 9:27 as usual. I want to trade smart, trade setups, A quality setups only, trading the best stocks, leaving the rest, right? If it's not looking good with volume or anything on the criteria for the checklist, if one of those things are missing, I want to leave that stock alone. A quality stocks only, right? When it comes to risk, as the 2-minute warning is going to go off. When it comes to risk, don't forget, we want to try and be the best managers that we can be every single day for ourselves, our account, our state of mind, and everything like that, so we can keep it clean and stay, safe, right? Because you don't want to go over the edge and get depressed and that kind of a thing. So when it comes to risk, let's manage risk accordingly, right? Utilize the chat rooms in terms of the streams, the Discord. Utilize those two effectively. Know that don't give into any FOMO. Even if you see a trader saying, "Hey, I had a pretty big gain" or something like that, make sure to utilize the chat room efficiently. We're all in a different space when it comes to our experience and account sizes. So let's look forward to doing the best that we can do, and of course look to improve upon that trade over trade and day over day, right? So here we go. We got a minute to the open. Hopefully everybody is ready to go. I do have my bottle of water as usual, right? I got a new, well, it's not a new hoodie, but it's new to the stream. Hopefully the hoodie's looking pretty clean on the camera. Trader Todd, the alarms always break my ears. Yeah, man, and it's kind of far from the mic this time too. I made sure to put it over here. The 2-minute warning. The people with AirPods, the volumes are always weird. There's my volume, all right, from OBS, and the phone itself, the mic, not to mention your TV, your computer, your monitors, whatever you might be using. So yeah, that's always weird. But anyhow, with 10 seconds to go, right, with 10 seconds to go, I'm going to be rotating through to see which one of these stocks are going to be strong to start. So here we go. Trade smart, trade setups. There we go. There's the open. Which one is it going to be? BKKT, I think I might watch this one. It's more expensive, but let's see how this one starts. After hours high on Friday was 46.80. So far it's pulling back slightly. OCGN, can we get over that VWAP at 1273? This guy's still blowing these leaves out there, man. Anyhow, BKKT 39. So far a little sideways. ABVC. ABVC, we're at 850. VWAP is at 919. Will we see a setup in there? But before we get to the VWAP, it's pushing up quickly. ABVC at 894. There's 915. It's coming up fast. Pretty impressive so far, right? Considering how much it's been down. It might get halted up here pretty soon. I'm not going to get any trades, unfortunately. But it's really moving. ABVC. There's the halt at 995. You know, I'm not surprised or anything, right? This is the market. This kind of a thing is usual. But from how the charting was pulling back, I really did not see anything like that coming. But nice move into the open there for ABVC. And way to set the tone for today, right? This is a good tone setter. So now let's see if we'll start to see some other stocks start to move up. OCGN, for example. So we'll be back in 5 minutes time. Okay. If we break 13 and can hold well, I like it. There's 99. We have to watch that resistance up there. Can we see that push to the upside? I'm in at 5. Let's see if it gives a bit of a move here. OCGN. 14 for the highs. There's 16. We want to see it over 20. I think it was 13.26, was it? 13.26 or something. Let's see. 13.23. Okay, we got a high of 18. And it's back down a little bit, so it might need some time to give a pullback maybe for those levels. Watching OCGN to get back in if we can get over 13.23. We had a high of 18, not quite the rip right through the level. Like I mentioned, we want to watch out for that double top, right? That's why I didn't hold that position there to see what it was going to do. Can we hold 1280 at the VWAP? BKKT. Okay, we're seeing something. BKKT. First 1 minute candle will make the new high, would be at 41. I think I probably used 200 shares on that stock. 200 shares. OCGN back at 1305. BKKT is fighting. The spreads, man, the spreads are 40-cent spreads. See, this is the thing with these more expensive stocks. And we had the candle make the new high. Well, it was a double top at 94. OCGN still hanging around. Resumption time for the other one might be soon, so I want to check back on that. Time, we got halted at 31, so at 36.44. 36.44 for resumption. We got about 2 minutes for ABVC. If it's really strong on the resumption, I think I'll buy it in case we do see a second halt. But of course, it'll be high risk. As we know, the risk is always there, right, on the other side of the trade. OCGN so far is flagging nicely, and over 1305 might be worth another shot. To see if we do get that break of 23. 36.44. So we got about a minute. All right, I think I'll switch back to it and get ready. ABVC. Now, I said I didn't want to take a trade in the first 3 minutes today. If I was watching on it, maybe I could have seen a sign, maybe, you know, for an early entry, but still, it would have went against my game plan. So hopefully there's more opportunities coming, right? So watching ABVC, 40 seconds to resumption, 40 seconds. I got 800 shares at the ready, looking for any price action entry or entries off the charting, of course. 24 seconds. ARTL hitting the scans at 129. 14 seconds. ABVC waiting patiently. Hands on the buy button. Here we go. 4, 3, 940 resumption. A little bit of a lower resumption. Not the resumption I wanted to see. Okay, I'll give it some time. Maybe it goes sideways and gives a setup, but for now, I'll leave it alone. A little bit of a lower resumption. We want to set the tone today, right? We want to have a strong tone. So can we get back above 950 and then see something there? We want some strong stocks to start. Seems like it's struggling a little bit here. ABVC, no trades as of yet. OCGN back down a little bit at the VWAP. Will it find support? BKKT is back down. ARTL. ARTL, we might see a clean setup on this one. Once again, it is cheaper. The range might be slightly smaller, but could see something there. OCGN, high of 97, back down a little bit. I do like this one over 23. Here we go. There's 10, 13, 15. How far will we go? OCGN, watching it right here in this range. Will we see an entry for a break of 23? I'm long at 17. Looks like it wants to push through here. Will we see it? There's 25. I'm going to add a 26 for the push to 40. Looks like it wants to open up. OCGN. 18. Well, we hold these areas here. My average is 22. Let's see if we get this push right through 30, 35. 34 is high of day. I'll sell one as we're struggling a little bit. All right, I'll sell both. And there's 10. We're going to come back down. It's not going to open up as much as I would have thought right there. But let's see if it wants to give a pullback maybe. Do we want to see a pullback right here? We got a high of the current candle at 26 and a low of 10. Not too bad. Being aggressive there. I'm watching 26 to see what it wants to do here. Will we see a bit of a 3-bar play? Or will we get more of a sideways action above the resistance here? Or let's say right in the resistance at like 23. As we're kind of in this range. This, though, is why we do want to see a stock like ABVC set the tone. Let's say we saw a push over the highs. It's very likely that right in that situation, OCGN does go to like 1350, right? Without a pullback initially. So as we're pulling back here, what is it going to be? Are we going to hold up or are we coming right back down? The bad thing with that trade right there is that might add my ad was slow. Right, I kind of decided that I wanted to add a little too late, so I added a 28 versus 23 as we're back down. So ABVC, where we at? ABVC doing a red to green. Switching gears. Possible entry would have been at the VWAP again, or maybe even at 898. High of day at 95. We got a high of 61 on that last 1 minute candle. If it flags right here, I think that would be pretty good. First 1 minute candle at 40 to make the new high for push to 95. I think that looks good. VWAP is at what was that, 12? Trades off the lows might not be bad, but let's see how the selling pressure here is looking. Mm, 38, 24, 15. There's a bit of a spread to it. The bids are coming back down. I wouldn't want to get long at 40 and be stopping out at 20. Low of the last is at 12. Spreads are staying a little high once we come down there. Well, here's 35 on the ask. Let's see what it wants to do here. There's 40. Will we hold these levels and continue going? 30, 28. It's a little tricky with the price action. Not in quite yet for that setup. Just kind of waiting here to see. Didn't get an entry off the lows. The spreads are a little too far apart. There's 59, 65. Will it hold this time? 46 on the bid. Coming back down. But it's grinding higher though. It's kind of coming up, back down, but still pushing up overall. $59. 74. I think we're going to see 10, but the entries are not really presenting themselves. And there's 10.25. Let's see how far it goes. I'll sell at 52 right there for the break of the whole dollar. Can we break and hold 50 now? There's 50. Can we hold? 41, not quite. 54. 57. We got a high of 75. This is gonna be one of those ones that it's just not giving all the entries. There's only one entry there that I got versus a stock that would have given 4 or 5, But so let's see, even if I can try and get one. I'll keep watching here as we're pushing again over 50. 75. 87 for the highs. Will it hold? Looks like we're going to see 11. I'm long for that push through 11. Okay, not quite. Take a small 5-cent loss there. Well, actually, probably a little bit more than that. Not quite the break of 11. I'm watching to ride the momentum if we're going to continue to push, right? My fill right there is probably a little on the higher side too. 80. Once we break and hold, I definitely will be watching that. Buyer 70. Wow. $41 for the highs. Watching the highs, I'm in. Not quite. Where are the buyers? Here we go. 45, 58. It's just going, man. It's gonna be difficult for some of the entries here, right? 60, 58, 48, 40 on the bids, 28. High of day now at 69. Yeah, we're bound to see a pullback, and I guess that's it right there. I did not have an easy time with that. $300 though, which I'll take. In order for me to make profits, like a lot of profits on something like this, I gotta just be buying, which is kind of hard to do. You know, it's like with the risk in mind, of course. I would have needed to take like 5 times as many trades in all those areas, and it would have been trades from me just relying on the price just going higher, which is not, it's not really what I do, right? That's what I did on that day where we had PHUN go crazy, but that was a different day, right? Those are the type of trades that I took on that particular day. So that's what I would have had to do right there to see, like, let's say $1,000+ in profits. But it's more hard to do that when we have seen some chop already today, right? So we're gonna get a bigger pullback at the highs. We'll see what happens. Once again, it's not really good for momentum, and I'm surprised it didn't get halted down, by the way. We do want to set the tone, and when we see this bit of a bearish engulfing, it's not too good. So we probably might bear flag right here, come back down. ARTL not looking super strong. BKKT halted up. BKKT halted up. OCGN, this one is struggling. Hopefully you guys captured some profits there in that move up. So BKKT, I'm switching over to this one. I think one of those trades I got an awful fill. Let me check. I think I was buying for break of 11. Yeah, 1090. Okay, no, that wasn't bad. $60 loss. And then getting out a little too soon on this last trade, but the volume did slow down. Didn't want to take the chance. When the volume slows down in a trade, it's either red, either we start to see selling on the bids, or sometimes it takes a break and then more buyers come again. But that last trade I took, I didn't want to give it the chance to drop down, so I just took the 10 cents. We have 89 people watching on YouTube. But guys, be sure to hit that thumbs up button, and of course consider subscribing to the channel if you are new. So BKKT, let me check the resumption time here quickly. We'll be resuming at 9:50 and 34 seconds. If you need the website for all the halted stocks, I'll post the link here into the Discord, and of course the stream. So there we go. 619 short seller. Are you going short on this one? Oh, only short 1,000 shares on ABVC. You never miss those trades, man. You never miss those trades, man. So for those people who are new that's tuning in right now, I go live every weekday morning for about 2 hours, right? What I do is a watch list, and then my game plan for the day, my approach. So far, so good today. One red trade, one green trade. But we're definitely in the green. I believe about $200. So we'll keep pushing. We'll see what we can do. For BKKT, like I mentioned at the open, my game plan for this one is to use smaller size and try and get some A quality setups. It'll be different with the risk because of the price. Usually I'm trading between, let's say, 50 cents and $25. This one is at $43, so I got to be careful about the price range. First daily candle to make a new high at 42.88. We're currently at 43.06. Now, we're over the pre-market highs. After our highs from Fridays at 46 80. So I think people are going to be watching that level there for the target. Besides that, blue skies might be in effect. So let me get my hands ready here. I might even come down to 100 shares. There we go. There's resumption. 44 for the highs. 42.85. Watching for the squeeze back to the upside. Not quite. And that's going to be an $80 loss. Jesus Christ. I felt like I was out break even there, but okay. Not quite the dip and rip that we sometimes see on the halt. So let's see what it wants to do. We're going to consolidate for a little longer, give a setup. The price action trade there didn't work out super well. Now we do have a 30-cent spread, by the way, so keep that in mind, especially with your share size when it comes to managing the risk. It's pretty calm right here, so I would say we're probably going to see some sort of setup. Maybe like the first 1 minute candle make the new high. So I'll wait patiently. We got a high of 44.05. So there's a new candle. Let's see what this candle here does. Are we going to push right through the 5-day levels? If we break over 44 and can hold above that level, I do like it. 48, well, excuse me, 30, 43.50. Right, 48 on the ask, 50 on the ask. So we have some hidden sellers at 50. As we're going to come back down and see how it's just going to drop $2 a share. It might be a little dangerous for the way how I'm looking for scalps. I'm going to try and manage the risk. Some people will be in early with a good cost basis, bigger size, kind of just letting it work. But for the scalp trades, definitely might be a little bit more difficult, right? Yeah, this was not a good candle, but we'll see if we continue to go sideways. Maybe it gives a bit of an ABCD. Also on the 5-minute chart, we're seeing selling pressure on these red candles, a little bit more high than our green volume, which is always not a good sign. So if we do get over the highs, can we rip through high of day and gain high of day volume as well, right? As we're back down a little bit. So ABVC at the VWAP. I don't like any red to green trades here, but maybe it does curl up a little bit more before going down. ARTL. We might see a red to green on that one. ARTL pushing back up at the VWAP a little bit there. We'll see what happens. OCGN struggling. The lows here are not bad. It's a tight range for the lows, but once again, what will it be on the new 5-minute candle? We do have a lot of selling pressure overall for BKKT. So that's going to be my second red trade of the day, and it's going to bring me down to being up 169. 2 losses, one of 83, one of $90. So not too good there. But I think that trade was worth a shot though, because if the volume had only came in like I thought it would have been like a $200 winner for sure, because it's nothing less than $1 a share on these kinds of stocks, right? I'm in at 43.50, and I was watching for the push right through 44, which would have been 50 cents, and then of course over 44, we know once we do hold over that level, we're probably going to see 44.80, 45, maybe 46 for that after hour highs. So for a trade where I'm looking to stop out pretty quickly if it doesn't go right away for a breakout trade, unless we just flush down in that moment, I would say the risk wasn't too high, right? About a 50-cent risk. I'm looking for that reward of $1 share or more. I don't think it looks too good with the volume profile at all, though. So this is going to be our second resumption today that doesn't continue. ABVC was the first one, and now BKKT. So I might have been a little too aggressive there, maybe, but I think I'll just kind of slow it down now and wait around. OCGN is also pulling back, so I'll keep my eyes on the high of day momentum scanner, and also see if we get a good red to green on one of these stocks. And ARTL, once again, might be the one to watch here. High of day is at 29. We're at 27 already after a pullback. So I'm a little late to the show. Do I want to take this high of day entry? 33 is the pre-market highs. Can we see 40 if I get long here, 27? I'm not in this trade. I'm going to watch it. Let's see what it does. The 1 minute entry would have been at 26. We're still at 26, but are we going to get rejected at high of day for a double top? So what we could see is a cup and handle if we come back down and consolidate sideways. Get a bit of a bull flag. Maybe we see the cup and handle formation instead of this straight U shape. The U shapes can work, but sometimes they do flag at the top a little bit and then. So if we go sideways, let's say we hold, what's the low of this candle here? It's 21. Yeah, I would say 21. 21 doesn't seem bad. If we can hold above 20, 21 and go sideways for a little bit, there might be an opportunity off the lows or even at the highs now for the break through the level. So we'll see. ARTL. Once again, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. Steve saying the order over 44 would have been better. Probably. What I had right there was a misread in the level 2. I really thought that spike was coming. The OC, if you're now tuning in, the OCGN trade is going to be a red trade because I added too high. That happens. You're thinking that the target is right, is above, where you're thinking the target is pretty high, or you don't quite get there. So watching ARTL, I think it's setting up so far. It's not looking too bad. I do want the 5-minute candle to close green in the next minute. Joshua asking, am I using Thinkorswim for charts? Which is correct. I am. And I'm using E-Trade for level 2. I'm a pretty cheap guy, man. So I'm trying to utilize these two free platforms to the best of my abilities. I know that day is gonna come where I do have to switch, whether back to TOS or maybe even one of the other brokers like Lightspeed, right? I do want to go short too, so that's another thing. Maybe I go to a broker that has shares available on some of these stocks. But that day is going to come. I know that day is going to come because I'm not going to continue to trade like how I am right now forever. I think I've done well with this system that I have, but I know that there's ways to improve with better brokers. Hey, okay, looking forward to trading full time. We had a low of 21 just now. I don't know if it's ready yet. The 5-minute candle did close green. Is it ready? Okay. What is it going to be? And I'm actually in with 1,000 shares. It seems like it's still having some resistance. I'll come back out for a 2-cent loss. The entry at 21, I didn't think it was ready yet. I thought we would have seen more sideways, so maybe it might come back down. The volume was looking pretty promising there, though. For the push through 33, we saw 29 and back down a little bit. The cup and handle formation is working so far. But, you know, is it ready? There's 29 again. If it's strong, we should see 33, 35, and then even 40, I think. So far, it seems like we're seeing some more resistance at 29, so it's still not ready yet. Are we going to go, or will it come back down one more time, reset, and then give the push? I can always wait for a push through 33 and then watch for the first candle to pull back on the one. If my timing is not going to be good. So here we are coming back down. So we might come back down one more time. As long as we can double bottom properly, maybe we see the push through the levels. This is also a cheaper stock, so we got to be careful about the range. Unless the volume just really comes in there, we might not see like a 15, 20 cent move, right? It might only be like 10 cents. So I do want to be careful. There's 29 again. There's a hidden seller there. Yeah, there's definitely a hidden seller right there. There we go. There's 30, 32. Seems like we had a bit of a hidden seller, maybe like 100,000 shares, but got bought. Those shares got bought up. We're holding above 30 well, so I'm going to take the entry right here, and now watch for the push to 37 and 40. It's such a slow moving stock though, man. Can we see the volume spike here? $28 on the bids, 27 on the bids. Are we rejecting? I'm giving it a chance here. Let's see what he wants to do. See, I'm not buying the pullback, the pullbacks, because I'm thinking here through the double top for the cup and handle, we should see the push. Yeah, it's coming back down. Not a good trade. Volume pretty good too. We're increasing in volume. Yeah, I'll leave this one alone. The range might just be too small. What's the float on this thing? 24 AV ARTL. I don't like to have those type of losing trades, but alright, in this situation I'll let it slide because of the cup and handle that I'm expecting to push through. Statistics, float. I'm seeing the float at 24.13. So the float is not that bad. Shares outstanding at 24.49. Thought the float would have been a little lower, but 24 is still not bad. But it's definitely, the range is definitely so small now. We're not seeing enough of a range to get some good gains. Even after the cup and handle is looking pretty good. So I'll leave this one alone. Maybe it does curl back up, but it's just not moving enough. I thought we would have been able to see a push to 35, maybe 40, and then pull back and then see something else, 45, 50, over a couple of candles. Not in one candle, but, you know, let's say a 3, 4, 5 minute 5 minutes of action at that level right there, but no good. And that's going to be my third red trade, which is definitely not good. It's just like the pre-market analysis, I think, for what I'm doing right now is spot on. It's spot on for where I'm at right now, but it's like I should have done better, knowing that this outcome right here was possible, or let's say even likely. It's like I'm pushing it a little bit just to see, see some more of those setups, and then we're not seeing the follow through, which in pre-market was indicating that right there, which is, hey, we have stocks that are up a lot percentage wise, but we did also gap down from the high of pre-market levels, right? If we look at ABVC, it was at 26 versus opening around $9. So it's up 200%, but it was up, what was that, like 700% or something? So it's the pre-market was already showing some indecision as to what we were going to see. So a trade like that I probably should have avoided is what I'm trying to say. I should have probably just, hindsight being 2020, of course. And it's back to 16, 15, 13. Come on. So the drop to 27 initially, I'm like, okay, let me see if I'll give it a chance so it can bounce back up and then give the push. Sometimes that happens where we're in the setup. It takes a quick couple of cents dip, and then we surge through the highs. But that was not the case right there. So right now, just looking to take it easy. That might even be the morning, to be honest. It's 10:07, and everything is pulling back. So we might not see more opportunities until the early, maybe even late afternoon, maybe around 1, 2 p.m., maybe into the closed power hour. Probably see some more opportunities, but for now, it's looking pretty slow. And I've given back 66% of my profits, which is absolutely terrible. So part of the game plan was also starting green, going higher into the green, and trying to close at the highs. So, not good in that aspect. Marcelo down $60. And then the other one that I was green on was just not showing all the entries that we usually see. It was kind of just going. It's hard to flip the switch like that, though. Like, if I see one stock do it, like on that Friday that we had PHUN, DWAC, I feel like it's easier for me to get into that mindset of, okay, just buy, because everything just is working. But on a day like today, there wasn't a stock that went up 4 times in a halt and saying that, hey, sympathy momentum is strong, be aggressive on the other stocks that does start to move. So when ABVC starts to go up, it's like, all right, it looks really strong, yes, but at the same time, this is the one that's kind of setting the way. Once again, it was at $26. It's now at $9. It's just not the same to be trying to say, hey, let me still buy the highs no matter what, So, and I guess for right reasons, because we're going to see 1169 and then a big red candle. So this one was definitely difficult to trade. So overall, I would say, the day is a little, a little shaky. So now this is where I feel like I could have been better, right? When I look back at it. Now, pre-market already showed us that this is what was likely. After being up 343, I think I had a one red trade at the time on OCGN for adding too high. Maybe right there I'd probably call it, right? And probably finish the day up 280 or 290. Now, that's one way of thinking. The other side, it could be that, let's say I do sit here very patiently and we do see something else come up, let's say in the next 20 minutes. And it does do, let's say, a 50% move, and I make $200-300, right? Then I do finish And despite giving back profits, I finished higher than where I could have. There's a bunch of different ways to think about it, but you know, this is all part of why trading is hard, right? Because a lot of the situations, there's no right thing 100% of the times. I usually trade for 2 hours, so to stop trading in the first 30 minutes right there would have been a little bit unusual, you know. What I always try and do is to think what would a better trader do in that situation, or a more experienced trader. Would they had sat here and just not take the trade that I just took, or would they had shut it down? You know, those are the questions that I kind of think of. So ARTL back at 109. We got OCGN at the VWAP. Not seeing much hitting the high of day scanners. Once again, just taking it easy. $100 in an hour is not bad, right? If you think of actual jobs. But being that I'm only working 1 hour to 2 hours every day, you know, I definitely want to see some more profits overall to end, right? Average daily gain somewhere around like 170. We got 1284 for OCGN, but I don't know what to think about this one. After the very first pullback and such a nice curl back to the upside, I really expected that push to 50 and 60. Maybe I was asking for too much, maybe, right? Because that's also a thing. But from how the volume came in nicely, we had high of day volume at the time. We ripped over 23, which I think was the resistance. I already told myself, here we go, it's on, right? 1,600 shares, average of 22. My average is right at the resistance as we broke over that level. Now watching for 35, 40, 50. Had we only seen 45, I would have been out of the trade with at least half my shares. Holding the other to see how far we can go. But going back to the first position, I think the first position was at 16 or 17. So from 17 to 34, it's not a bad trade, right? Not a bad trade at all. 17 cents. ABVC, we're down. ARTL, we're down. BKKT. I think I gave this one a good shot too. Not much though. So today's going to be one of those days where we definitely saw momentum and there was enough momentum to be green. But we would have loved to see more follow through, right? We would have loved to see a little bit more follow through in some of the key areas here. BKKT, that would have been a move to 46, maybe 50. ARTL would have been a push to 45 and 50, right from 130. Can we go to 140, then 150 over a couple of 5-minute candles or something like that? ABVC. Let's see. So we had a low of 775 and a high of 1169. So I guess this one was all right, but once again, it wasn't super easy the way how it was coming up. Very difficult for the price action and the entries. And then, of course, the big red candle, which we didn't want to see. Bttx. I think I saw somebody call that one out earlier. Let me see. Bttx. Why is it not hitting my scans? That's the question. Daily chart looks okay. Not much history, but it looks okay. We're up 50%. 1.6 million shares of volume, and why is it not hitting my scans? It's on Thinkorswim, I know for sure, but I'm not paying attention to my Thinkorswim scans. And actually, no, it's not. Bttx. Okay, never mind. There it is. Yeah, it definitely is on the Thinkorswim's scans. My Thinkorswim scans, I don't pay as much attention to anymore, but it always has the higher percent. The gap scan. It has everything. But I'm expecting this stock to be hitting my high-low ticker once it starts to make new highs. So Bttx, this is another one of those stocks that sold off pre-market. We had a high of $25. Right now we're currently at 15. So similar to ABVC, you know, we might see something, but you know, we got to watch out. Where's the ceiling going to be before we see a red candle, right? We're gaining volume, which is good. The halt was at 10:12. So at 17 and 59 seconds, we should see resumption. 17 and 59 seconds. I'll reduce my size to half. Let's see, it's $15. In fact, I'll come down even more. I'll go to 400 shares. Just look to take it easy. If there is a setup, the worst thing I want to do is finish this day red after seeing so much profits. So I'll reduce my size, and if there's something that looks really good, maybe I take it. If not, I'll just look to be on the sidelines. $29 seconds to go for resumption, assuming that it is a 5-minute halt. We're currently halted at 15:07. Bttx. Here we go. 5, 4, 3. Here it is. 15:07 resumption. There's 15:50 for a high. But we do have a crazy whip. 71, 16, 16:59 for a halt. Now the dip from the dip back below 15 to 14.85. I mean, maybe I could see a guy like Ross probably taking a trade there, but I feel like that's a very, very, very high risk setup. It dips below 15 for a couple seconds and then surges right up. For me and what I look for, didn't see any entries there. But a nice move nevertheless, right? Still a nice move, right? We're up at 16.58 now. Maybe some of you still took an entry there, right? Which would be good, of course, at this point. We're up to the long side. Bttx, we'll see. So how far will we go? Will we see $20 before a big red candle, or will it be 17? That's always the trick question. How far will we go before the inevitable? The thing is with some stocks, right, and it's not a lot of stocks, but some stocks will see 1 or 2 halts to the upside, will say, hey man, this thing is way too extended. Before you know it goes another $10 a share. Then the other side is that one day we'll see, and I guess this is exactly what we just saw not so long ago, is 2 halt resumptions opening up at the same level and then just not going. So, you know, it's part of why trading is difficult, but we'll see what happens with this one. Which is why I always like to say we got to pride ourselves on reacting in real time to the situation. So this halt came in at 10:18 and 27 seconds. So in exactly 5 minutes from that timestamp right there, we should see resumption. Which should be 23.27. 23.27. 10:23 and 27 seconds. The market these last couple of days, though, I haven't feel, well, let me not say a couple of days, between Friday and today, I haven't felt as firm as what a hot market usually feels like after we get the big moves like on stocks like DWAC, BKKT, and some of the other ones that we saw. Usually after that happens and things get hot again, we see the momentum is obviously not as hot. It can't stay that hot, even if that's just for 1 week. That 1 week sets the tone, and then we come down one notch. It feels like right now we're down like 3 notches already, and it's like it's only been a few days, you know. This is why, for somebody like me who don't really trade pre-market as much, I prefer not to see these dramatic moves that we're seeing. You know, a perfect example is this same stock, Bttx. You know, why are we going from $11 to $25 pre-market? No, that's not bad, right? I'm not hating on pre-market or anything, but can we see that in the open? That's what I want to see. Pre-market can go from 11 to 14, but can we get that rest of that move here at the open? Right, the open has the highest amount of volume. We know there's the concepts of, you know, of traffic, and if there's too much volume, we don't get as big of a move. There's a lot of selling pressure, a lot of shorts. But you would like to think where the volume is the highest is where we should see the biggest moves. But pre-market with the lighter volume, sometimes we see the bigger opportunities. The highway is completely empty, and the stock just flies through and just flies up. No traffic, no resistance. So we're getting closer to the resumption time here. Once again, 23 and 27 seconds. So here we go. 20 seconds and counting, 20 seconds and counting. Bttx. There's going to be a lot of risks, so if you haven't taken an entry already, watch out, be careful, manage. 7 seconds. My hands are not on the buy button. I'm just going to be spectating here. There it is. Well, we see a push to the upside. A bit of a drop. 1593. High of 1698. And we're going to see another drop to 50. Are the short sellers coming in? I'll definitely take this $100 that I made here today, though. But there's definitely things I could have done better. The day, I think, is looking a little slow. Are we going to see high of days just like that? 88. All right. Break of 17. Can we hold? And there's a dollar share drop. So 1704 to 1604. Yeah, let me go back to what I was saying. So I think the day is looking a little slow now. Definitely opportunities here for Bttx, especially for those traders who are more skilled than I am. Maybe they did see some entries earlier on that first halt going up and got long and saw some good profits. I definitely don't doubt that. There's a lot of people who probably saw some good gains right there. Some of you guys watching on as well. But I think the day is looking a little slow now as we're coming back down. So I'll take this $100 that I made, but I definitely felt that I could have done better. But you know, 102 and 19 cents is still not too bad for an hour of trading. Just got to be better, man. Just got to continue to work. So I'll rewatch this entire session and see how I can't improve. So if tomorrow, if I'm in a similar situation, overall I can do better, right? Close higher in the green. So the game plan almost went off without a hitch, except I gave back profits on 3 stocks. So got some work to do as usual, as always. There's always work to do, no matter if you're finishing in the green, in the red. There's always something we could have done better to be more prepared for the next day or the next opportunity. Alright, so Bttx, as this one is fighting, I'm thinking about just taking it easy, shutting it down. It's back to 1644. You know, we're gonna see a push through the highs. First 1 minute candle at 1640. It's gonna be hard for me to trust this stock here. I don't know if I want to touch it, man. There's 40. How well will it do here? Is it a false breakout? Are we gonna hold? It is a false breakout on the 1 minute. The 5 minute chart, maybe we still can see first 5 minute candle make the new high. It's possible. 3 minute chart was also a bit of a false breakout there, a bit of a double top. We're getting a big doji candle on the 3 minute. The reason why I'm not excited right now is because everything else already failed. So the likelihood is that this one is going to fail as well. That's why sometimes I have trouble, because I based a lot of my trading off of the current sentiment. And if the current sentiment is saying one thing, I try not to go against that, right? And so I don't want to be aggressive right here, right now, and everything else is pulled back. Now, will this one buck the trend and go? It might, but you know, it's usually not what happens. Near 17, is it going to go? So a bit of a top of 17 is fighting. That first 5 minute candle is about, what was that, 2 minutes? 2 minutes away. Are we going to rip through 17? What's it going to be? Back down to 16. See, this is why you can't trust these stocks, man. Look at that. Nice push over 17 and then right back to 1580. So it's looking okay on the charting. It's fighting, but it's just not, you know, it's just not easy with this big spread that we're seeing with the bids falling out of place, and this one is for the more experienced traders, man. And for the people who are in with good cost basis, let's say all the way down there at like 14, and you're just watching to see with a trailing stop. For me, trying to scalp this is just, it wouldn't make sense. It's too much risk. Time 10:28 here on the East Coast. And I'll get caught up on the YouTube stream, by the way. It's been a while since I checked in. Yeah, we have 80 people watching and we only have 34 likes. Can we see 50 likes? If you're watching and you're not actively trading right in this moment, be sure to hit that thumbs up button if you have not already. If you're a new viewer, consider subscribing, right? This is what I do every weekday morning. And I show everything, red, green, in between, right? And there'll be a monthly recap for last month. I'll try and get that out today. Today, for that monthly recap, we'll talk about October. It's funny because last year, October, I ended down 3,500. This year, October, I'm going to finish up green 3,500. So, but I still don't feel like I redeemed myself, because until DWAC and some of those hotter stocks came, I was struggling. I was basically flat on the month, and all the profits basically came at the end, which wasn't good. So there were some good things. I had like a 6 green day stretch, which was good. But then I had 5 red days in a row, which didn't happen to me all year. So it was just a weird month overall. But, you know, green is always good, but there's a lot of things I could have done better. I think on the month I made like 12,000 and in total. and then lost like 9,000. So it just was not a good efficient. It was not an efficient month. So there's a lot of things to talk about there when I look at the numbers to see, how I can do better for this month. It's not the best start considering I gave back 66% of the profits today, but I'll look to improve for tomorrow, of course. Joshua asking for a quick rundown on who I am and how I got started. Uh, yeah, I don't see why not. It's 10:30. Yeah, we definitely got a lot of time. So, a lot of people call me RT, man, for obvious reasons. Relentless trader, right? I got started, I believe, in 2017, as most people do, on Robinhood. Got started on Robinhood. Um, it's kind of crazy, but Robinhood was interesting. Was very new to the market, and my brother and I were kind of trading together, and we were coming up with all these different plans and strategies that we felt worked well from stocks that were going up, and how we were seeing them go up on the chartings on Robinhood, right, on those line graphs. We came up with certain systems, which is kind of crazy that we ended profitable after like 5 months. But looking back at those systems that we had, I think we did the best with what we had at our disposal. But those strategies just pale in comparison to what we're seeing now, right, with the trading. But Robinhood was definitely an experience. From there, I just dived into E-Trade, man. Dived into E-Trade, and I used to trade on E-Trade for about a full year below the PDT. So Bttx, you're going to see some buyers of 10,000 shares at 16.10. Four of them. We're going to get a push to 16.66. Does it want to break high of day? Or we're going to continue flagging here. So I came over to E-Trade. I had a $14,000 account, trading 3 trades every 5 business days. I did that for a year. I should have used a cash account back then, just being naive and not knowing everything. Just being a little inexperienced, right? So I lost 4,000 over that entire year of trading below the PDT. Can you imagine if there was no PDT and I was able to trade unlimitedly? Here's high of day. Can we see 1740? Not quite. So I think the PDT was good in that sense, as we're seeing $18 now for Bttx. But once again, be careful with the big spreads. I can trade this one, but I'm not going to do it to myself because I know, even with small size, I probably will get long and then, dollar share. But for those of you who are doing well, continue trading, right? So I lost about 4 grand after a year, and then I took a 6-month break, came back, got hit with the PDT rule again after like the first 2 weeks of me being back. That's because there was a holiday. I was trading every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and watching on Thursday and Friday. There was a holiday on Monday, and my trade for some weird reason didn't get reset until Wednesday. So Tuesday I bought, and it told me margin call or some whatever they say, something like that, and froze the account. And from there, I'm like, yeah, I can't wait another 6 months. So I went to Ameritrade and started trading in the simulation. From there, I traded in simulation for a year and a half, and then I went live May 1st of last year. And since May 1st of last year, I'm at like 49,000 in profits right now. So one more 1,000 or so until I'm at 50K. And then 75K, the next target. Then 100K, right? Moving on up, right? Moving on up. $1 at a time, one trade at a time. I primarily trade between 9:30 and let's say 11:30, right? The first hour or two. Bttx right now, some of you guys might be wondering why I'm not touching it. It's just too much risk. It would be right now, the way how the day has went also plays a factor. if I was up 600-700, maybe I would have told myself, okay, let me try something with, let's say, that just 200 shares, just to see if I can't push it a little bit. But I've already given back 66% of my profits, and this thing is just too wild. The worst thing for me right now is to end this day red. That would be awful. So, days where I'm up over 300 and finish red is just terrible. So, just efficiency's sake, right now I'm basically done. I'm just watching on. Just getting caught up on the chat, that kind of a thing. Yeah, man. So the journey was definitely, I want to tell people, you got to enjoy the process, man. You got to enjoy the process. It's shorter for some people, longer for others. There's a few people who've been trading for like 6 months and already made over 100 grand. It's kind of crazy. It's like they were a natural, right? They kind of came in, they found a mentor or something like that, and everything kind of fell into place. With other people, it takes longer. I always like to use the example of being in grade school and your professor puts a math equation on the board. Some people will understand it immediately. Others will need some help after school. Others will need some help from a peer in the class. Others will need some help at home. So different people take different time, and that's just how it is, right? The learning curve is different for everybody. But at the end of the day, screen time is what really helps us out. Screen time, reviewing, and you got to find ways to excel your screen time, which is why I always recommend recording your trades. And the way how I do it, like since I'm doing YouTube, I find it very easy when I'm watching back. It's like I'm watching the recording, and because I'm talking for most of what I'm trying to do, I can follow along very easily. Sometimes I don't even need to look at the charting. I can just listen like a podcast. I can just listen, and then it's like, oh yeah, it kind of brings back my memory. Like, yeah, I took that trade and it was a bad trade, or yeah, that was a good trade. I got to try and work on doing that more. That kind of a thing. So recording your screen for screen time to help the learning curve is definitely pretty big. It's like you traded twice in one day, and then you have brokers like Thinkorswim that have the on-demand future, where you can go back and retrade certain days and try and figure out how to approach certain stocks. Now, the only bad thing is that Thinkorswim's level 2 isn't good. So when you are in the on-demand, you might be a little lost with the level 2, but at least the charting is still there. Some of you only use the charting, so that's pretty good. So you can speed up your learning curve times 3, right, in doing all these different things. Watching other traders, watching other recaps, all of that kind of a thing, once it relates to your strategies, can help build you up, right? So that's always pretty good. For me, and then with the timing of how I trade, right, when it comes to 9:30 to 11:30, I used to work at Amazon, basically full time. I'd say full. I used to do a lot more hours than what the part time shifts were. But you can always do a day job, or if you have some sort of a career, that kind of a thing. Um, as long as you can get 9:30 to 10:30, I think that's all you really need. Um, there's opportunities at all points in the day, pre-market, first couple of hours, afternoon, close, after hours. But the first hour, for some reason, it hasn't been working as well these last couple of months, the first hour. But usually that's where I would say some of the best opportunities are, right? After kind of flagging here, Bttx, but once again, still watch out for that big range. So if you can get 1 hour, you can still have the rest of your day to do a different job, maybe a different business, whatever the case may be. So you can still have multiple streams of income despite trading, right? No. I do not have an accounting degree. I do not have an accounting degree. Uh, what I have is a degree in liberal arts, right? Which is basically, let's say, English. Um, and what ended up happening, then I transitioned to accounting. And when I was at Rutgers, is where I decided, yeah, I just was not enjoying that stuff, man. So I was trading at the same time as whilst being a student, right? And I just was not enjoying it. like school is not a problem for me. I feel like school is just discipline. If you can be disciplined in school, you'll have good grades, even if you have a hard time understanding certain things. Because once again, like trading, it's just gonna come down to screen time, right? If you're having trouble with some equations and that kind of a thing, you find different ways to learn. Maybe YouTube, or you go to your professor, you get a tutor. There's ways to get around having trouble with school, right? You get help with your essays, peer reviews, all that stuff like that. So school is discipline, but the problem with school is that you need to be doing something that you like, and I just did not like anything that I was doing there, man. In fact, what I tell people is that I didn't like it and I didn't hate it, but at the same time, it's like I felt like I was just wasting time, you know? Like I was kind of just doing it because of like, you know, parental pressure and just what society basically says is like, yeah, go to school and get a good job, right? So it's like, all right, the statistics for Rutgers University here was that 97% of people with accounting degrees graduate and find jobs of, let's say, at least 50 to 60,000 to start. So I'm like, all right, that sounds decent. Accounting doesn't sound too bad. That's kind of just how I went about doing that, you know. I feel like school is really good for people who, from a young age, always had a passion for something, or even at an older age, once they have a passion, it's like, yes, they really love animals and they want to be a veterinarian. Like, I feel like that's where school becomes easy because you really just are enjoying the process of wanting to do, you know, become what you want to do, right? And that kind of a thing. But when you're just floating there, just going through the motions just because, it's like you're just doing something, man, and it's like you might not even like what you're doing. And I feel like that's a problem in some situations. And a lot of times people do it because we have to do what we have to do. If I never came upon trading, I would have still been doing that, and I would have been an accountant somewhere. Without a doubt, there's no way I would have failed at doing that because, like I said, it's just a discipline, right? I would have been an accountant somewhere at some firm, maybe doing some God knows what, right? But what I do think is that if I had did it, I would have been good at it. Being the competitive person that I am, I would have tried to be one of the best, you know, person at that and try to make the most money as possible, right? And with trading, that's still the case, but this is just a little different because you cannot go overnight. It's hard to do that, to just say, tomorrow I'm doing X, Y, and Z, because there's consequences towards certain actions. It's like if I say tomorrow I'll use 5,000 shares for every trade, right? It's like doing certain things too rash in this field just can't work. So, you know, it's a gradual process, like most things are, a gradual over time, trying to gain more experience and build to become better. Which is why I can guarantee you guys I will be changing broker at some point, because I already know I'm not blind to this, right? It's like I know these brokers that I'm using now limits me, right? But I do feel there's still a lot of things I can learn before switching over, right? There's sometimes people say there's not really a right time, but for me I feel like there's a few more things I need to really get a little bit better at, and then, you know, move on to the next step in the journey, right? And like I mentioned, I would really prefer to go short. Well, not prefer to go short, but I really would like to go short in a lot of situations, even if it's not the same amount of shares. Even if I'm going short with a couple hundred shares, 200-300 shares for smaller positions, there's a lot of long trades that I notice are failing, and the shorts are really obvious to me, right? And I can't do anything about it. Maybe it adds in a couple $1,000s every year to my profits, right? It definitely will make a difference, especially when I get to using a bigger share size overall. But that's the overall story, man. Joshua, right? If you're still tuning in. Thomas worked 30 years at one company, did really well, but never really loved it. Like trading, the thing is with trading is that trading is always fresh, right? It's like in a lot of ways there's things that's similar day over day, or yeah, or you can even use the word repetitive, right? But it's never repetitive in a stale way. Like every day I'll wake up, do a watch list, do my game plan, and trade similar setups, but it never feels like the same because every day is different in some way, right? The issue that I had at Friday is not the issue I had today. It's always a different thing to work on. It's something fresh. A different stock might give a move. It might be a better move, a lower move. It's a bunch of moving parts that's never really the same. So it's refreshing every day, right? And especially when you can come and try an end green a good amount, it feels pretty good. Now, like if I go back to last October where I finished red, like that month I had to dig deep, man. That month, a lot of it was just like denial, like how am I really red? The market was not slow that month. The market was tricky. Let's say Bttx was the kind of stocks that we were seeing, and I would be buying in for these setups, and then 40 cent drop, and it's like, are you kidding me? It's nothing is working. But what I needed to be was more verse. Let's say I'm going short somewhere, or maybe I'm buying off the lows like I've been working on doing. I needed to be better to handle that month differently, right? And which is why now I really like to pride myself on just slowing down once the market is slowing down, right? Because that's what I didn't do. Even if I had just slowed down and set 200-300 shares instead of being down 3,500, I'd have been down $1,000 maybe, and it wouldn't have been such a bad month, right? I started trading in May, and from May to October made 17,000, and my averages were pretty good. I was having a lot more red days back then, but still, I had 71 green days to 30 red days or 36 red days, something like that. I was watching at this over this weekend, and I was up 17,000 doing 160 a day, and it wasn't looking bad, right? But October came and it was just a disaster. And this is all tying into how enjoying trading and trading being fun. That month, I don't know. I wouldn't say trading was fun for me that month. That month, mentally, it's like now how I am right now in my state of mind. When I show up here, I'm expecting to end green. That month, that month, man. How do I word this properly? It's like I was feeling defeated mentally, right? Because every day I'm coming in, I cannot buy a green day. I think I had like 4 green days that month, or 3 green days, and like my confidence was lower, and it's like coming off such a incredible July, like the summer months of that year. I think I had like a $6,000 and $7,000 month or something. I can't remember exactly, but I know July I think I did 7,000. So it's like I was green 7,000 just 2 months ago, and now I can't buy a green trade. So there's certain things that in your mind that you put these kind of pressure on yourself, and you're watching it certain setups. You're not as versed to handle the situation. But I wasn't gonna stop trading though. It's like, all right, I'm red, but what can I do? It came back to now, relying on who I am as a person. It's like I was red for an entire year at E-Trade. I'm red for 1 month. Now I'm a green trader now, but I'm red for 1 month. And so a lot of that was me digging deep, going back to who I am, right? It's like, all right, you're no stranger to being red. See what you're doing wrong now and try to improve for the next day. Keep trying to improve because we've been here and we've came past this situation already. And so, falling back and relying that month definitely wasn't a fun month, but it still was something that I think was necessary, right? Because each loss is a lesson learned, and overall that month really showed me certain things when it comes to the market, when it comes to trying to be too aggressive, and being aggressive when things are not working. I think 4 weeks ago I had a drawdown of $1,000, and the only reason the drawdown was $1,000 is because I made a conscious decision to try and keep my share size high, but only take 1 to 2 trades a day. Right? You see, like a day like today, I already took, I think, like 10 trades. Let's see, 11 trade. I took 11 trades today, and so I'm like, okay, can I bring my share size down? Well, can I keep my share size the same, and try and take 1 quality setup trade per day? That's gonna put me green, and I just stop right there. But I tried that, and things were just so slow that even some of the better setups just was not working. And so, I went right back to what I usually do after that October month. And the lesson I learned from October was to, when the market is slow, I just need to slow down, right? And I think the example that Ross uses is a good example. It's like if you're on a racetrack, it's a hot summer day, and the track is really smooth. You want to try and get your best lap. But when it's raining, why do you want to try and speed through when it's having a thunderstorm and the track is wet? You're obviously going to slip, spin out, and maybe even crash, right? Maybe you crash and burn. That can happen because you're ignoring the obvious signs, right? And so that's what that month taught me, right? That's what I really learned at that month. It's like when things are slow, you just got to slow it down. And so that was a very good lesson for me, right? Going back to that drawdown, I did try a different approach, but if I find something that's better than to just reduce size and try and take less trades overall, that's what I'll do, right? And so that's why on a day like today, when it comes to the risk and all those lessons, that's why a stock like Bttx, I wouldn't even bother, right? Yes, there was a lot of opportunities there, but the risk was very real as well. We want high upside potential, limited downside risk. As the sunlight is coming in, I'll try and close the curtain here so that the light doesn't start to mess up the green screen. That should be a little bit better. So it's 10:52. That was a bit of a background on me, right? A little bit of long background story there. Not even sure if I went off topic a couple of times. Probably did. The sim was a good experience, though. When I was trading in the sim, a lot of the people didn't even know I was in the sim, which was kind of crazy. But it goes to show though my transition. Right now, what's crazy is that like 3 months ago, somebody asked if I was still in the sim. This is someone who was following the channel since like from the beginning, but they're not really staying tuned in. They'll kind of check in, let's say, once every 5 months, and it's like we had that conversation. Like, yeah, man, I've been out of the sim for XYZ amount of time. It's like, wow, I didn't even know, So the way how Thinkorswim was back then, the simulation I've been hearing now is not real time. Back then, the simulation was real time data, and my hotkeys were set up the same way. I'm looking for these similar patterns and that kind of a thing. Like if I switch over to my simulation account, right? The only difference in my simulation account is that right here it's orange. It says, I think right here it says simulated or something in the top left hand corner. But that's how much similar it is, right? Like I tried to do everything in a way to where once I do go live, there's no new learning curve that I have to go through again. I wanted to keep things as close as possible. Look at that push, Bttx. What was a full dollar a share, and it's back down a little bit. This stock is something else, man. But the risk is just a lot of risk. Is it going to sell off, or are we going to hold up here? So out of nowhere from 1844 all the way to 1844, right back down to 1630. Once again, continue to manage risk if you're trading that one. Be careful. Yeah, so the transition was seamless, right? And being that I traded live before, there wasn't that much pressure. I did tell myself, though, on my first day of going live after like 2 years or whatever it was, to not put pressure on myself to be green that first day. And my first day trading was a red day, right? So I felt like I did the right thing in that situation, which is like, hey, you know what? If today is just a natural red day, then don't force it, right? Because the number one issue between people going from sim to real money is emotions. I never traded in the sim right away when I started trading. I traded with real money, and so I already was used to trading. I was used to having losses. I think that was really helpful for me, being able to go to the sim. That was a difference. That's another story I can touch on, how I mentally kind of brought myself to thinking the sim as real money. That was also a bit of a barrier that people will face, and I had to face too. But I think trading with real money first and knowing what losses are like, having the emotions with losses helped me out, right? So when I first went to the sim, and why I was so reluctant to go to the sim, because the entire year that I traded at E-Trade below the PDT, I knew of Ameritrade and the simulation that they had. But I didn't want to do it because I was like, trading with artificial currency, I'm not gonna treat it the same way. That's the mentality that I just had. I'm not gonna treat it the same way. That's what I told myself. And then when I didn't have a choice anymore, because I would have had to wait another 6 months for my account to come back, I told myself, you know what, this is what I have to do. And so I had to like meditate mentally. I just had to meditate mentally, and it's like, you know what, my back is against the wall. I'm between a rock and a hard place. It's like, what are you gonna do? And so I had to bring myself to that realization, that acceptance of like, you know what, exactly what I've been trying to do is what I'm gonna do here, and no different. And for a short time, I had a slip up, right, where on E-Trade I would never buy into halts, and then in the sim I started doing that for like 2 weeks, and I think that was like the only slip up that I ever had. I never increased my size to like 1 million shares or anything crazy that some people, we hear stories about of them not treating the sim the same way. I never did anything crazy. I would buy where I need to buy, sell where I need to sell, take the setups that I'm supposed to take. All that kind of a thing I did right, except for buying into halts. And so, and part of that might have been me trying to test out a strategy, because we know some halts resume higher and continue going up and all that. But before, I was like, halts are just too high risk overall. And, we're going to see that even today, right? Some of them opened higher. One opened higher, two opened up same level and dropped down. So I eliminated that out of my trading, approached the halts differently, and from then on, the transition wasn't bad, right? It was so crazy that it was to the point, and the way how my trading account is even now, like a lot of my trading account is kind of like savings, and so I don't really take out. Well, now I take out more money versus when I used to work at my day job, but it's like I didn't used to touch trading money when I was live with that $14,000 account. And when I went to the sim, it was kind of like the same approach. It's like my trading account is kind of like a savings, and so I'm not seeing the money regardless to my bank account. So that's what I kind of that's also what helped me in different, like bringing the two together, right? Real versus fake. We got 1870 here for Bttx, still pushing, still going. It's being very resilient, I will say, right? It hasn't really sold off despite coming down a couple times with some bigger drops. The sunlight is still coming in, but I guess the curtain's not really doing a good job. It's 10:59, well, 11 a.m. here on the East Coast. 11 a.m. For those of you still watching on YouTube, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. Right now, just kind of hanging out. P&L, if you're now tuning in, is at $100 on the day, 102.19. Gave back 60% of my profits. Was up closer to 300. And right now, just taking it easy. My day is basically finished. Just watching on Bttx. First 1 minute candle. Will we see something over 850 for a push to 19? $50 on the ask. What's it going to be? Are we going to see something here? Need more buyers. 70, but back down to 31. This one definitely has a lot of potential, and it has been giving good moves, but once again, you just got to continue to manage the risk if you're trading it. If you're in with a good cost basis, you know. I always like to say take some profits as you go, but, you know, for each their own, depending on the strategy you're looking at. The worst thing with trading is when somebody influences you to do something, to make a decision, and it's the wrong decision, right? So everybody has to buy into their own strategy of what they're doing. Stay true to that. So if you're in at $10 and you're watching for this thing to go to 20 before taking profits, I guess, you know, that's what you do. As long as that strategy is working well for you as a trader individually, right? For each of us. What's interesting about trading is that you know, if I go back 3 or 4 years ago when I first started, I think it's 3 years. Is it 3 years? We're in 2021. It's gonna be 4 years. I think it's not. I don't think it's quite at 4 years because of the 6 month break that I took. Um, but somewhere close to 3 to 4 years. What's interesting to me is that back then, you know, what I'm doing now, if I could have, like, for what I'm doing now, if I go back 3 years ago, it's like okay, I'm really doing something good. But for me, what's exciting is, all right, if I can really continue to push myself to learn and work, become more versed, 4 more years. That's what I'm really looking forward to. 4 more years from now. If 4 years got me here, what is 4 more years gonna do for me, right? You know, and I think I really doubt that I would remain the same trader after 4 years in terms of style, P&L, all that stuff like that. I would really like to think I would be better, right? Sometimes you got to be open to, right? Open to discussion, open, which is why I do like the feedback. Sometimes you guys will DM me individually, like, hey, I saw you did this well today. I really like that. Or, hey, you had a good sized red day today, but I saw you doing this. You know, watch out for that next time. You know, like those kind of things like that I really like because it's good feedback, right? A lot of you are watching on from me and seeing things that I'm doing well, things that I'm not doing well, and learning from some of that. I'm watching on, you know, to other traders as well. And I do appreciate the feedback and some of the discussions, right? Some of you that watch on, I actually have your cell phone numbers, and I will call you guys every now and again, or you guys will call me, which is pretty cool. Right? We never really met each other in real life, but just from the Discord and the streams and that kind of a thing, you come about knowing some other traders, right? Some good people, man. Some really good people too, which is really good. Joshua, well, no, not Joshua. Coach thinking about going offshore. It depends on the situation. We know brokers like CMEG. Is it CMEG or is there a different one now? I think Shore Trader was the one that got shut down. CMEG. There's people that will trade there. There's no PDT, but I think they do charge a lot of fees and commission. But if you're really green and you're transitioning into real money and you're having a good transition, it might not be bad. There's cash accounts. There's different ways people use. Um, You know, depending on the situation. Like we'll see Ross do these small accounts, but like the Ross's small account challenges are different from what a beginner small account challenges is, because it's like it reminds me of like Fast and the Furious, right? I don't know if you guys seen that movie, but it's like if you give sometimes when you give the best driver the slowest car, they can still perform well, right? And beat out the person with the brand new, you know, let's say the brand new Lambo, and it's because they just know how to drive. You know, the guy that's driving the Lamborghini doesn't know how to shift the gears. He's burning the clutch. It's like the small account challenges that he does. I like, but it could be done in different ways where it could be more relatable. Now Ross is a millionaire trader, right? And so when he does the small account challenges, you'll see he'll start off slow, right? Because I feel like at the beginning he just doesn't have a choice in terms of buying power, but eventually he'll start to max out the account every trade. And I feel like that's just unrealistic for people who, you know, are just not in that situation. Like, and I feel like that situation comes down to having pressure sometimes, right? No matter how we twist it and turn it, and as traders we have to. I'm not saying this is an excuse, because we all have to manage our outside lives and what that means for us to trading, right? Different people in different situations. Maybe you're looking to get a better lifestyle, and you're putting pressure on yourself to perform. But when Ross is doing these small account challenges, there is no pressure because he's already a millionaire trader, right? It's like maybe you can say there's pressure of him blowing up a small account and feeling embarrassed. Maybe that's the only thing I could really see as being any sort of pressure. And so when it comes to him maxing out, let's say, a $5,000 account with 5 times buying power, he does that without even thinking. But for real traders, like, well, let me not say real traders, we're all real traders, but for beginner traders, that's the word, beginner traders, a lot of people are not going to feel comfortable. There's going to be a few who are just really aggressive, but I would say majority of people are not going to take on that amount of risk to buy with their entire account every trade, you know? I mean, look how long I've been trading. I wouldn't dare do that on some of these positions. So I feel like in some ways it's like a little, it's not as authentic as it could be. It might be more relatable for those people who are just naturally aggressive to be buying their entire account size on every trade, but that might be more of a minority. So when you look at a broker like CMEG, you know, it might be hard indeed when it comes to those fees and commissions if you're using really small size, or you're not as green as you might need to be to really sustain all those fees. And then it's hard to save up for a lot of people. You know, a lot of people, depending on your situation, 25,000 is a lot of money, man. It might not seem like a lot of money in the grand scheme of things, but it's a lot of money, especially if you're, you know, a lot of us are older people, right? When it comes to just responsibilities and that kind of thing, a lot of us have families or are playing a key role in a part of a family in terms of just relatives in general, bills, mortgages, rent, all whatever it might be. All of us are dealing with some sort of responsibility, especially the older we are, right? So to just have 25 grand out of the blue to say I'm gonna put this into trading might be very difficult for some people, right? Which is why a lot of us will have to either borrow or do that kind of a thing. If you're better off, you know, no problem there, right? If you do have the 25K, then that's awesome, right? You just have to manage risk if you do want to transition from the sim, or if you're starting with your live account, you just want to take it slow, small size, that kind of a thing. But a lot of people will have to work hard to get to the 25K level, And in fact, for me, at the beginning of 2020, I went live May 1st. I was ready to go live since December, but I just didn't have the money to go live. So there's a lot of things, that comes into play there. A lot of that will tie into the pressure, even, you know, emotions and pressure. Some of the bigger things. If you're a green trader in the sim and you do transition over to live money, I feel like that's probably one of the things that probably messes with people. There's emotions of using real money, and then of course the pressure, whether artificial that they put on themselves or just real life pressure. Maybe you're trying to get some extra cash to pay a bill, and but we try not to be in that mindset, but we can see why it'll happen to some people, right? You're trading though, my advice would be for anybody who's in that situation is that you should try your best to isolate your trading from the outside world, right? Try to be in a situation where you can be as secure without needing your trading profits, right? It's like if you're trading and every month you need a 500 from your trading to help pay, let's say, your mortgage, that could be a problem, because now you might at one point put pressure on yourself. Let's say there's a month where absolutely nothing is working, and before you know it, you need 500, and so you push yourself a little too much. It's a bigger red month. That kind of a thing we want to avoid. For the traders who are really versed and experienced, who are paying all their bills from trading, it's a different story, because they kind of have it down already. But like for me personally, like I don't own a house or anything, right? Um, I like to tell people I'm in a good situation. I'm lucky to be in the situation that I'm in. I live with my relatives, and I help out with bills, of course, but I'm not paying like the full brunt of the mortgage or something. So when it comes to saving for me, like saving is not hard for me to do. Whether trading alone or trading and having a job. Like last year, I made a video. I'm not sure how many of you saw that video, but like last year I saved up a lot of money by having both, right? Both working at a job and trading at the same time. Like I'm not gonna lie, this year I didn't save as much as I did last year so far when it comes to just year to date. But I think this was a good like feel for me, and even when it comes to like a project, an experiment of what I want to do long term for myself, I felt was really good. Um, as they say, when you're young, you can take on the most risk, right? Somebody who might be in a different situation might not be able to leave their career or day job to just trade full time, right? So I'm very blessed to be in a situation like this. Definitely fortunate, to be able to do this. So there's certain things that I kind of forget the overall point I was trying to make. There's definitely certain things to factor in there. Being a day trader, man, being a day trader, I still I still well I still to this point don't want to say I have arrived. Knowing a lot, I guess I did, but I feel like it's gonna take a serious day for me to really admit it to myself, where I can really say yes, I have arrived. And I don't know if I may be lying to myself in this way, but I feel like it's gonna be a serious green day. Like when we're new to trading, we hear people say, or we hear these rumors, these stories of people who've made serious amount of money in one day. Um, from how I trade now, I think that it's common now. It's really common for me to see when we're talking about green days, right? Like a $200 green day, 300, 5, 1,000, 1,500. Those kinds of green days, especially with my size being down. Right now, my size is still down like a lot, right, compared to what I've used before. Those green days are common, right? Are likely. Now, from how I look at my style, when I look at it from an outside perspective, for me to do a $5,000 to $10,000 green day, what it would take, and it kind of, it would take a lot. It would take a lot only because I would need a lot of different things to align with my style. Like if we go back to Friday when we had PHUN, that could have been one of those days, but I would have really needed to be aggressive to chase that stock, which was now outside of what I like doing for my strategy. Like there was that false breakout right before the open, over $8, made me skeptical to not want to trade in the first minute because we know the first minute can be volatile. But that's the kind of a day, if I'm long and I decide to hold, that's the only two decisions that I really need to make right there. I'm long. We had DWAC go to 180. I'm up 80 cents. Let me hold a little longer. Once I hold into that first halt, from there is where I could see something crazy, right? Now, this is what I'm saying. I don't want to be delusional to myself to think that I need to have a big green day of epic proportions to say I have arrived. But in my head, how I imagined it, that's just how I had myself thinking would make, would make the most sense. OCGN, we had a push. Not bad. Let's see the volume here. Volume here is not bad. Interactive brokers. Bttx is still fighting. OCGN on the other hand, let's see. The 28, 23 was the resistance. This one here I don't mind with small size though. I'm not going to bring my size back up. Nice ABCD. Six trades a week. It's tough trading below the PDT though, because sometimes I remember there was weeks where a Monday would come, and we know how trading is. Monday might be really hot, and then we don't see anything for the rest of the week. And so I used all three of my trades on one day. Monday was hot. Fine, I used all my trades. Okay, no problem. But then Tuesday was hot. Wednesday was hot. Thursday and Friday was hot. I couldn't do anything but watch on the rest of the days. Today I took 11 trades. Not all of them green trades, but did feel like all of them had some sort of potential. Here's 1340 on OCGN. How's it going to do? Big seller at 50 of 127,000 shares. Interactive brokers not being good for shorts. It's 11:18 a.m. OCGN I don't mind getting involved with, but will we see? Let me pull up the level 2 here. Will we see good price action? We're at 13:34. I have good history with the stock, but it needs to be strong. Volume on the 26th was at 237 million shares. We've broken over that high, but today we only have 33 million shares of volume so far. So as we're flagging, we're above the EMAs, lowest of the consolidation at 24. 24 might not be a bad area if that previous resistance though can turn into support, but the EMAs are definitely lagging behind a little bit. There's 23, 24 on the bids, OCGN. Joshua, the next step is to get better with the level 2. The level 2, man. The level 2. I can't trade without the level 2. For me, once the charting shows a good setup, I'm on to the level 2. But the level 2 itself is difficult, right? I'll have a lot of misreads. I mean, overall, I'm green, but I have a lot of misreads where level 2 is showing me one thing and it doesn't quite happen or play out. But the key is to have a good balance between the level 2 and the charting, right? The charting for me is always going to be number one, because if there's no charting, I don't even consider looking at the level 2 if the charting doesn't look good. So the charting is first, and now can the level 2 back up the charting? The level 2 is going to be the reinforcements, right? The charting is implying, hey, first 1 minute candle to make a new high looks good. Now, can the level 2 also show the price action looking good at that particular level? And so once the two are aligning, I'm going to be long and then look for the move to the upside as OCGN coming back down below 23. Yeah, you definitely got to be careful. So going short, and like going long, we know going short is more risk, has more risk because you can, your balance can go from zero into the negatives. For anybody who's a beginner trader watching on, that is a possibility if you're going short, right? If I'm going long on OCGN and I use all my buying power, without margin or leverage, my account will go to zero if this stock goes to zero. Now, if you're going short, the risks can be unlimited in certain situations, right? If you're short DWAC at $5 and you max out your account in that trade, from 5 to 0, let's assume you're going long, $5 a share is where your account goes to zero. But what happens when it's $5 a share to the upside and we go to 10 and you're already at zero, but then we go to 15, 20, 25, 30, all the way to 70. Now you owe the broker money, and then it's a big deal. It's a problem. You have a margin call. So going short and going long, I feel like there's no difference when it comes to the stop loss. We have to respect the stop loss regardless, right? If we're in a trade and it turns out to be a losing trade, we have to cut the trade, long or short. We have to cut the trade. Even if some people have different things they do, whether they average down, average up, whatever you want to call it for each situation. If they change their average, but even if you do that, it's a more high risk maneuver, of course, but you still want to have your stop loss. Even if you adjusted it right a little bit for a bigger stop, you still want to respect it and not have the situation go to a devastating situation where it's account ending. Happened to a few of us in certain situations, right? But we have to learn from the lesson and take it with us moving forward. In the sim, my biggest red day, I think, was $2,000. I was down 500 on one of these days, right? One of those days I was down 500. Told myself, you know what? I feel pretty good now. I was a little frustrated earlier in the morning. Came back with 2,000 share blocks. I was being more aggressive back then and ended up trading. Went from being down 500 to being down like 220, 230. So I made back some profits, and then I took one last trade. I bought. I'm in off the lows too. Back then I wasn't even nearly as good as being in off the lows. I'm in off the lows, and you know how every now and again one of these stocks will just fall off a cliff, big red candle. I'm watching at the level 2. I blinked. the stock was at 863. I blinked. I looked back. I saw 763. I had to like wipe my eyes, even like how you see in those shows, those cartoons. I had to like wipe my eyes, and I looked back. And then I looked at I still didn't believe the price. I looked at my P&L now just to really see what was going on. And it's like, you've got to be kidding me. I'm down 2 grand. Or was it what, I think it was 2 grand. I think I was in with 2,000 shares and basically lost like 90 cents. I was already red, so losing 90 cents was not good. All of that is why I like to use small sizing as the day goes on. Like, there's things over time that just told me that's the best thing to do no matter what. And there's days when there's a hot stock in the afternoon that I do well on, and it always comes into my mind like, man, just imagine if I was trading this thing with my actual size of what I started this morning. I made $1,000 here, let's say between 1 and 2 p.m. with just 300 shares. What that would have been like if I was using 1,000 shares or 800 shares or more. But I have that rule in place just in case one of those stocks just decide to just blaze me, because we know it happens every now and again. So like it'll limit the profits, but it in the long run it makes the trading more stress free, right? It's not as stressful. So I guess there's just pros and cons to it all. It's all part of why, once again, trading is sometimes so difficult, right? What is the right thing to do in these situations? There'll be days where I'll do it. It's like I'll come right here and I'll click 1,000 shares, and then I'll be like, you know what, man, just don't do it to yourself. And then I'll say, all right, cool. At least let me just come down. I'll do a medium. If I was trading at 3, I'll just balance it out at 5, and then I'll see how the day had went for me. If I'm up 600-700, I know I can risk like 150. That'll be like 3 red trades of 10 cents or so. If that happens, then I know to shut it down right away. But if I start green on that stock, I can now risk the profits that I've made to continue pushing the P&L, right? If we have a stock that comes in the afternoon that's just really ripping. But there's a lot of different factors, man. The worst thing though is to feel stupid after you had a good day and you do something that was uncalled for. Let's say I had a hard day and then I was using 500 shares the entire day. The afternoon comes along and I go up to 3,000 shares, have 1 10-cent loss, and I give back my $300 worth of profits that I fought all morning for. That's where you could get emotional, you could get frustrated, so you just want to avoid that overall. OCGN is giving a bit of an ABCD, but the charting looks rough with this candle that we had at 1125. I think I'll shut it down here. Let's see. The last hour of my trading, well, I haven't really been trading. The last hour just kind of talking with the chat room, just kind of watching on. We got Bttx still fighting, pushing at $19 and $20. If you guys traded Bttx and did well on it, I definitely want to say congrats for some good trading, because I know that one was not easy, right? So for those of you who got involved and came out green, good job there, man. But for those people who did see some red trades, you definitely got to be careful, right, with the entries. These ones are sometimes so volatile. Even for me, I don't even want to get involved with it. Sometimes we just have our limits, and sometimes we just meet our match. There's certain days where I end red, where I have to throw in the towel, because it's like, man, nothing I did today. Some days it doesn't happen as often, but there's some days where I'll be 0 for 5 red trades, down $300. It's like, man, like nothing I attempted today worked. You just gotta throw in the towel. You met your match, and you come back tomorrow looking to do better, to be better, to have that good green day again. So it's 11:29 a.m. here on the East Coast. I think I'll shut it down here. I think Bttx is one to continue to keep an eye on. You just have to be very careful with managing the risk. Be careful of those bigger drops. It's still pushing. It's still fighting. It's giving opportunities despite being more risky. Once again, being more risky. But keep an eye on it if you're looking forward to the opportunities and if you're looking forward to going the distance. For me, that's going to do it. I've been finished for about an hour now, just kind of chatting. We're going to end up 102.19 after giving back a good amount of the profits. We'll be back tomorrow, though, looking to be better. Mondays just have not been good for me this year, which has been so weird because Mondays are usually pretty good. But anyhow, that's besides the point, right? So if you're going to go the distance, continue to trade smart, continue to trade setups, be patient for those good moves. This is where I'm going to shut it down. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to hit that thumbs up button if you have not already. If you're a new viewer, consider subscribing to the channel. This is what I do every weekday morning. I start at 9:10, 9:15 a.m. That's usually the sweet spot. I'll stream for about 2 hours. Before that, I'll do my watch list and my game plan for the day, showing everything, keeping it transparent, red, green, and everything in between. If you're interested in seeing my overall metrics going back from May 1st, 2020 when I went live, stay tuned for the monthly recap, which will be out today. I'll be going over October month in detail, and then I'll show you guys the overall P&L of how I'm doing so far for this year, and then I'll include last year. We'll look at the numbers, see what I can look forward to being better at, right? Always trying to study up on the metrics to improve. There's a lot of things that I got to do in the future to be a better trader, and even not even in the future, but now, right now in the present, right, to work on behind the scenes when it comes to just looking at different strategies, adding on more strategies, being better at the trades off the lows, that kind of a thing. So I'm looking forward to continuing the process. With that being said, guys, it's been Relentless Trader. It's been a good day. Thanks for all of you who did tune in and participated in the chat. I'll catch you guys tomorrow, hopefully for an even better day of momentum. It's been Relentless Trader, and I am, of course, signing out. For those of you